on Instagram. So yay. Welcome. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy
Yeah.
Friday.
Yes. And well, we're now not as consistent as before, but we're continuing our how to stay positive and staying positive lives. Today, considering that we haven't been very consistent, we're talking about it's all about priorities and prioritizing, really. My name is Anuschka I'm an empowerment health coach and energy healer in San Diego.
And I'm Samar Tehrani. I'm an addictionologist and I practice out of Virginia.
So priorities, I really wanted to actually, as I was sharing this with Samar, I wanted to actually jump on my Wednesday live with Wednesday Wisdom and Wellness and talk about this. But I did not do a live. So I feel like this is something that I really wanted to share with people because I am one that likes to keep my word. I am one that definitely, if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. And there are times where we got to prioritize. And so what I've had to do recently is prioritize other things over the lives. And so I just wanted to actually have this conversation with Samar as well, because I know you've also been having shifts in your life and whatnot too, right? So we have to prioritize things. We got to shift our schedule around, right?
Yes, and this is where being fluid in life is actually a lot more helpful than to be very rigid, because as life happens to us, we have no choice but to reorganize and shift and reprioritize and move things around in order for life to have the flow that it needs to have. So I decided to spend the winter in California, and so I'm here and working out of Southern California. Yeah.
I know. She's
The
a
weather is
neighbor
beautiful.
now.
Yes. And you are going through a bunch of things as well. So for example, last week we just decided that it just wasn't going to happen. So we had to, reorganize, shift, be fluid, and accept and say, you know what, it's okay. I mean, this is going on 7 months now that you and I have
Oh,
been
yeah.
consistently, right?
Oh my God,
Um,
longer. We started in March. We're in November now. Well, maybe a little like around that. Yeah, seven,
yeah,
8
7, yeah,
months.
not, I don't know, right around 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
But we've been consistent. And during this time, we've also had to reorganize and reprioritize and shift things in order to be able to stay consistent enough and continue our lives. So prioritizing actually and being fluid helps you not get into these holes that we create for ourselves, and where I feel that it puts a lot of, unnecessary stress on us.
Yeah, and pressure and making ourselves wrong and feeling like, oh my God, I didn't keep my word. And then that turns into this guilt and shame energy, which is the last thing anyone needs. And so that's one of the things that I've realized with me. I'm not, as much as I'm all about integrity, I'm also aware that I can change my word at any point, because that's the whole point of integrity, is saying, okay, yes, this is what I said I'm going to do. And if that doesn't work out, well, I'm going to create a new word, because otherwise, like, we're always evolving. So how is it going to work is, as we're growing, as we're evolving, to say, oh, I'm still going to do, like, for instance, what I wanted to do like 10 years ago. It doesn't work. Right.
It's not
So
how.
no. And then the whole thing is like really just taking on however you do your calendaring, right? And being open to shifting it. I know we've had several different, I feel like, either daily tips or lives where we talk about calendaring, right?
Yeah, you use your calendar a little bit different than I do. You have and then your integrity list that you work with, which I've kind of adopted as well. Um, and actually, it was really kind of through the integrity list that I finally decided that it probably would be best for me to spend this time with my family in California.
I love it.
So
Yay.
it's wonderful. It's a way. I have learned through this time, you guys, that being rigid is like the one trap that we have had a tendency to kind of trap ourselves. And this past, 7, 8, 9 months that we have been dealing with this virus and how our lives have shifted, the more fluid we are, the easier, this time can be for us. This is my personal experience, and how I have decided to kind of continue on is by keeping in mind that I need to reprioritize whenever it's necessary. And I also need to be fluid and not rigid, so that my life can flow a bit easier.
Yes. And with that, just being open to change. Yeah, because I know that's something that's tough for a lot of people. And I mean, people they like routine, right? I mean, routine is comfortable. It is, it's comfortable. And change can be uncomfortable. And that's okay, because that's where growth happens. When we actually are open to it, and when we're fluid, I love that word, like being fluid and accepting and surrendering to what's so, allows us not to put this pressure on ourselves. And that to me is so huge, because I used to put so much pressure on myself. I call myself a recovering perfectionist, and I was very much a perfectionist until this day. Like, I'll do little things. Like when it comes to organizing, I'm still, I laugh. Like I'll go and I have to have my labels facing me when I put things away. And I'll literally go back just to turn it. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is ridiculous. But I don't mind. I'll do it for the organizing. When it comes to life though, I've given up being this perfectionist because it would put so much pressure on me. And now it just feels like, hey, you know what? Like I love doing these lives, and sometimes with 4 lives in 1 week, it's just not gonna happen because I have a lot other things going on, right? And I really just wanted to get on, because that's a part of being our word, is also sharing this, right? I don't want people to actually be like, oh, she's inconsistent. Well, no, I'm just reprioritizing my life right now. So
and we have to, and I think it's really important for each of us as an individual to really recognize what integrity means to us. Because to you and I, with at least this live, is that the integrity for us here is that we're going to stay consistent. However, when it doesn't work out, we know that it's okay.
yes.
And we can, skip a week, and, that's fine. Because our personal lives and our mental health and our physical health is a priority.
Yes.
So my family is a priority, your family is a priority, and also our professions, right? So some weeks it's just not going to happen. And I think that it's good to sometimes come out and say it's okay. It's okay to reprioritize and shift and stay in that space of fluidity, and so that you can move forward easier. The analogy, Anuschka, that I use is, imagine a wall in front of you, and then how far can you get with that wall, and then imagine the ocean in front of you. And which one do you prefer? What is it that you prefer? Do you prefer to be in front of an ocean and be able to swim whichever way you want, or do you want to be in front of a wall and eventually there's a limit, and you're going to hit it? So which one is it? And choose. Because through this analogy, you can really kind of shift your mentality and use that analogy with every situation that you get yourself into. And it doesn't really matter, right? And it is a process. It's truly a process to reshift that thought process and reorganize your thoughts and reprioritize. And it takes a little bit of time, and it takes a bit of practice. And, there is no perfection. Like, we struggle with it sometimes, right? Like, you call me, I call you. Sometimes it's very, very last minute that it's just not going to work out, for us to go live. And we're using this live as an example, really, to just personalize it on a very authentic level, to share our personal experience with you in a very professional manner as well. Because obviously, we're two health professionals. I'm a mental health professional. Anuschka is a health professional. So I think sometimes, we do need to come out and say, look, it's okay if it doesn't happen. We should, shift, reprioritize.
Yeah, and even as health professionals and what we do, we go through human experiences just like all of you out there, right? And so that's, again, sometimes that's why it's like putting self first to me has been a huge learning process, a huge gift, right? To really just realize that that's the most important thing. And that was something that I did not do at all. I mean, the things I would do to myself and my body just to like, and because I was always putting myself last, right? Whereas now I'll even like, the one thing I love, which I think everybody knows now, is volleyball. And there are times where I have to say no because it's not aligned with my body. And I'm like, if I go, I will get injured. I am so clear, right? So it's really just choosing what's going to most serve your body and what's going to most benefit your body, and then going from there. So prioritizing from self first.
Right.
Oh, and speaking of that, I actually wanted to talk about it. I'm like, there was something I wanted to say around that. One thing I learned through my coach training was actually it was like a list of healthy priorities. I don't even think I've talked to you about this.
No, I'm not sure.
So they actually, and this is when I realized this. This is when I realized I'm like, I do not put myself first. So they gave us a list. They said, okay, so 5 different things, right? Self, spouse, work, family, friends, right? How would you prioritize them? And then, you want to put a number next to each, right? So for those of you listening, take those like self, spouse, work, family, friends, and prioritize those. What I just described, that list, that's the actual healthy priorities list. What surprised me is that work was above family. And of course, family and friends can be switched around because some people are, closer with their friends and their family, right? Like I have friends that are family. But for me, I was like, really, work above family, like above family. Why? And it's like, well, yeah, because if you don't have a livelihood, if you don't have work, then how are you going to take care of your family? And I was like, mind blown, right? So that was one of the things that I thought was interesting. Now, that doesn't mean to always choose work over family, but it's a matter of like also just being aware that that is something that is important in order to have a nice balanced life. So that's what I really wanted to share. I'm glad I didn't forget it.
Yeah, I don't think we'd ever talked about that.
Yeah.
So do we have, because today I can't see screens, do we have any?
We got people. Hi, Sarah. She's waving. So Shirazi. I'm seeing if we have any. No, we don't have. And my cousin from Iran, Pune, she says, love it. Glad you're watching. Thank you. I don't see any questions, but if there are any questions, please let us know. Otherwise,
Or share. You don't even have to have a question.
Yeah.
You can just share.
Sarah just put a bunny face. I love it. I love you, Sarah. Awesome.
Well,
otherwise, this is it for us for today.
This is it for us today. This is it for us today.
Prioritize, have a dynamic calendar, update where you need to, and don't feel guilty or shameful for doing so.
That's right. That's right. It's good to be with you guys again, another Friday with you, and we hope to see you next week.
Yes, yay. Have a great weekend. Bye.